It's BREADCAST. I'm American Johnson.
Hi, I'm Luna.
Give me that bag of drinks. Luna made me a little care package.
Exactly.
Can you hear me? The thing, my only viewer. Can you hear me, only viewer?
The thing.
Marxist puppy, our only other viewer. We literally have 1, 1, 1, and 5. This is the most hastily thrown together, half-assed BREADCAST in history. So welcome to history. You're making history with us here tonight. Got me a natty light. It's so weird drinking American beer again.
How do you feel?
I don't know yet. We'll find out. You got me a Gatorade?
Yeah.
That's fancy.
Mm-hmm.
Look, we just spent 7 hours basically in the car.
Yeah.
We went to Atlanta to see my kinfolk.
Mm-hmm.
I actually had a really good time.
Yeah, we did.
I saw a lot of people I haven't seen in a very long time.
Yeah.
Last couple of days.
Exactly.
We went to the aquarium, the Georgia Aquarium. Right, Lon?
Yeah.
You saw a big old shark, a whale shark. We saw silver tips. We saw nurse sharks. We saw tiger sharks, sand tiger sharks.
Like whale shark or something?
Whale shark. The whale sharks were magnificent. Those manta ray things, those
Stingray.
the devil rays.
Yeah.
I think they were. I was just listening to nerds who really knew what they were talking about. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just repeating what I heard them say. They could have been wrong. We saw alligators.
I saw otters.
Oh, Luna saw otters for the first time. Sea otters and river otters. What do you think about that?
They like the sea. I didn't expect the sea otters to like 4 times bigger than the river otters.
They were huge. Now that river otter, I think that river otter was a baby.
Oh, really?
I could be wrong,
So
but
cute.
the sea otters are bigger than river otters, but they're not like that much bigger.
Yeah, right.
But anyway, it's so funny how they love playing so much. What are your favorite commies? That's so sweet of you to say, Six Haltair.
Oh.
Heart. It was a good time. We had a good time. We got to spend time with my cousin who has Down syndrome, and he's really sweet. He's like awesome. And I don't know. We had a lot of fun, right?
Yeah.
We went to the varsity. Do you have any? Please tell me you have your Henny Bear bag.
I have.
Will you please get your Henny Bear bag? Every time I want something, it's never available. Now it's finally going to be here. Look at that. Luna's walking around in our messy place up here. Greetings from Brazil. Hello. Oi. Oi, Ihes. We got some Twitch viewers. Look, there's nobody watching. We're starting late. I understand. It's okay. We just thought we'd have a little fun, hang out a little while. That internet part of the title is worrying, to say the least. The internet is all I have for helping with internationalism. The internet has so many problems. We're going to talk about all this stuff. Folks, it's like bad right now. I would say things are probably the worst they've been online. Probably offline too, but online definitely since I started dealing with all this BS. But look at this. Since 1928, it's the varsity. Now I have a little family connection to varsity. We've talked about that on stream before.
Uh-huh.
But here we go. We're all gussied up now, ready to. What'll you have? Any Hotlanta residents recognize this piece of history? We have not been to Florida yet. No, we have not been to the wiener-shaped state.
This is funny.
We're just warming up, folks. Not a lot of people watching, waiting for people to roll in.
Just hanging around.
So, okay, say versus capitalism. We're going to talk about this, actually. I mean, we're going to talk about what, the problems, some of the possibilities, some of what's not. I don't think is possible. There's a lot of stuff that's not possible, in my opinion. And there's a lot of stuff we need to be rethinking completely. We need to be thinking about like the material conditions of the internet, the objective. Okay, let's tease this a little bit. When we talk about material conditions, Luna, we're not just talking about things you can touch like plastic and water, right? Don't take the word material so literally. We're talking about objective reality. That is to say, real things that actually exist outside of ourselves that affect our lives. Is that a good is that a good way to describe objective reality?
Yeah.
Because not every, and this is what Marx's big contention was, that not everything that is objective and essentially material are things that you can touch, right? So like, for instance, capitalism, the capitalist mode of production, obviously you can't touch it, right? You can't touch
the exploitation
value.
Like you can like touch it. It doesn't have a shape.
You can't touch value.
But you directly are affected.
Racism and race itself.
Sexism.
Like race is totally socially constructed. See, a lot of people got this wrong when I made my video about whiteness.
Yeah.
They thought that I was saying that like race, because when I was saying that like race isn't real, it's a social construct, they thought that I was saying it doesn't matter or something, which is weird. Nothing is further from the point is
way to interpret
it absolutely matters. It just doesn't have a physical basis. It's a social construction. But obviously race, the concept of race, the phenomenon, let's say, of race,
concept of race.
Yeah, and racism, let's just say racism.
Yeah.
Racism actually obviously affects people.
Yes.
Sexism obviously affects people.
There's nothing in your DNA tell you what race you are.
Right. So, so the point. Okay. So that the reason I set that up is to say this.
Yeah.
There are material conditions of the internet.
Yeah. You cannot touch the internet, but it's real
you
and
can't,
it affects
you.
You.
Well, I mean, you
it's
could touch like
your
computer. You could touch
the internet cables.
You could theoretically, I guess, like the phenomenon of the electricity, the electrical signals. But the internet itself is obviously like an entity that exists and affects our lives, right?
Yeah.
So there are material conditions of the internet. And the material conditions of the internet right now are piss poor. They suck. They're real bad.
Yeah.
Socially constructed does not mean it's all in your mind. Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. And it's not all. That's the thing. It would be idealist to say that it only exists in your mind. It's like an imaginary thing or anything like that. It obviously exists outside of ourselves.
Yeah. Like the whole system of, the state of the United States of America.
Oh, the government. Yeah.
The government itself.
It doesn't, you can't like touch the government. You can't see the government. But obviously, I mean, you can see phenomena of the government.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's talk about the internet. Okay. So like the internet, the way I like to put it is, tell me if you think this is a good way of putting it. I don't know if I've run this by you.
No.
So this might be a hot take. I don't know. The internet,
cold, huh?
And the internet and our, I guess you could say, real life, right? Have a dialectical relationship with each other. And the internet is a reflection of our real life.
Because like a real life exists first, and then the internet exists later. So it's a reflection.
The real world determines the internet. The internet absolutely impacts back on the real world.
Yes.
For lack of a better term.
The real world is the
base. The internet is part of the real world, right? So
the real world is the base, and the internet is like the silver structure.
Yeah, but there's also a base and structure of the internet. If you want to get real technical.
affect back. It's like
because there's the material basis of the internet, which is like all the cables and servers and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then there's the superstructure, which is like the culture that exists on the internet, right? Yeah. Really, nobody's that I know of. And by the way, tell me if I'm wrong, because if anybody's already explored this stuff from a dialectical materialist perspective, I'd love to see it.
Amazing.
Because like my whole thing is, eventually I want to write a book or do a documentary or something where I really go deep and try to grapple with the internet from a dialectical materialist perspective.
Because I think that the thing that we like now the most is like a dialectical materialist analysis of modern society, especially a first world society, because most of the writing written in like 19th century, early 20th century, and it ended that, and then like now like capitalism just like control the whole narrative of it, and we need someone to have an analysis, just like Marx wrote Das Kapital, but put it in the first world country in the 21st century.
Hey, don't set people's expectations that high.
Oh, I know.
Anything we come out with is not going to be as good as Marx's analysis, but we'll try to do the best we can. We'll try to do some justice to Marx. But anyway, all right. So what I was getting at was the internet is a reflection of reality.
Yeah.
And the reality is also, the internet is reflected back onto reality.
Yes.
And like, think about it. Okay, it's like, and by the way, yes, Andrew Skipsey says data and social relations are material conditions of what you're getting at.
Yeah.
They can be. Yeah. And I mean, social relations is what's really important here.
Yeah.
Like social relations absolutely exist on and through the internet.
Yeah.
Like Luna and I would never have met, probably, if not for the internet.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, we met online. That's the first way we ever met. Right. So like, we are a material.
It affect real life.
Our relationship is like a material reflection of
literal
an
like
internet relationship
internet.
As it started. Right. Yeah. So, obviously, people's lives obviously are affected. The world is affected. Donald Trump, in large part, was elected president because of his Twitter account. And
lots of people said that like they joined the IWW after watching you, or they like do the organizing work after watching you. This is like the internet back to real life.
Yeah, I mean that's part of what Luna and I are and our comrades, not just us, but we're constantly talking to other comrades who do content and streaming and stuff to try to find ways to leverage that real world and internet dialectical relationship. Because what we don't want is to just be what was it we were talking about, Luna, where we were talking about like the debate bro idealist solution to something? Oh, it was so funny.
The act.
Yeah, okay. All right, this is really funny. So we went to Grant's. This will set this up really well. We went to Grant the Slopstash. We went. Luna met Grant in real life for the first time, even though Luna has known Grant online for a long time.
Years, yeah.
And when we were there, they had this like really beautiful, like kind of Easter egg thing, like a Fabergé egg kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And Luna said to Grant's wife, "Is that a real egg or a fake egg?"
Yeah.
And Grant's wife said, "We don't know.
We don't know.
We don't know. We'd have to break it open and find out."
Yeah.
And then Luna said something like, "Or you could do the debate bro thing, and we could all sit here and argue about it.
Just sit there, look in the egg, and then debate about it.
We can argue about it and debate about it, and then whoever convinces the most people they're right, that's the truth of the egg." That's how debate bros think reality works. They think that you can just sit around, come out with like outlandish hypothetical situations that are completely divorced from reality, and then discover truth.
Imagine about a social society without doing any actual work, and whoever got the most viewers,
Yeah, whoever gets the most views and likes and comments and clout on Twitter, that's truth.
That's the truth. Why literally the egg is sitting there right on the table, and if you really want to find the truth, just crack it up.
Right.
Easy. You don't have to debate about it.
Here's an interesting question. I'll try to tackle this. My brain, once again, we're fried, but I'll try to tackle this. Okay. The fundamental difference between Marxism and intersectionality is that Marxism views class as the main and primary contradiction, and intersectionality is that. So I don't know. I mean, different people are going to have different ways of interpreting the word intersectionality or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think, let me reframe it a little bit, because I think I know what you're talking about. Because I think intersectionalism and Marxism are like pretty much compatible. They can be synthesized, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there is like liberal intersectionality.
Liberal just destroy everything.
And there's like, all kinds of different essentialism. There's like gender essentialism and race essentialism and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Marxism, I hate the term Marxism personally, but we know what we're talking about.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. Yeah. So, but anyway, Marxism does say that currently class is the primary contradiction.
Yes.
But I would not. Here's what I would say. I would not say that Marxism or scientific socialism or dialectic materialism or whatever is class essentialism or class reductionism.
No.
Because one thing to point out first and foremost is that the current class relations and the whole problem of class conflict, according to Marx and Engels, is temporary.
Yeah.
It's not something that we think is going to exist forever and ever and ever.
Exactly.
In fact, the whole goal of all politics right now and all philosophy right now, according to Marx and Engels, is to end the class conflict altogether, to eradicate that, because Marx and Engels defined class as sort of a great barrier for humanity to break through.
Yeah.
And it's, it's been holding us back for centuries, because for thousands of years since class society first developed, human beings have been basically miring through class conflict as each class tries to gain the upper hand, right? Class struggle, right, through the centuries. Am I correct?
Yeah. If you if you're some newbies, in this situation, you don't really know the difference between the capitalist class and the working class. Just like if you should learn a little bit more about the caste system in India. This is a very bad thing too.
Yeah, but I don't get where you're going. Where are you going with this?
Oh no! I just like a side note. It's nothing.
Caste system in India is not
it's not capitalist.
It's not about the means of production.
Yeah, it's not. But like the bad, I mean, I guess my brain is too bad to really go deep into this. But...
Okay. What do you? Okay. Was that just a sidetrack?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't want to cut you off. I just
totally
don't
sidetrack.
have a clue where you're going with that.
Yes.
Okay. All right, we're gonna come back onto the path. What were we saying?
Talking about.
I'm so lost. We were talking. Wait, hold on. We were talking about intersectionality.
Marxism and class
struggle. Okay, class struggle is a temporary thing. It's like the whole point is we want to end class society altogether. Because what Marx and Engels discovered was that we're at a unique point in history where there are only two classes now. Yeah. Previously, there have always been multiple classes that are all vying for power. There'd be like the monarch, the nobles, the church, the guilds, the peasants, right? And they're all like, but now we have two classes, and one class is very, very small, the capitalist class. Yeah, 1%. It's extremely small. Less than 1%, right? The real capitalists. The real capitalists that really control the world. Musk, Bezos, these guys, there's a very small number of those guys. And most of them are guys. And then there's the working class, the proletariat, is huge. It's like, the overwhelming majority of humanity. So that creates a very huge potential that the working class can seize the means of production, seize power, create a dictatorship of the proletariat, and eventually eradicate class society. It's not something you can do overnight. It's not something you do in the flick of a wrist.
I laugh so hard because if liberals listen to this, dictatorship.
No, it's a dictatorship that puts the overwhelming majority of humanity in charge of a very small number.
They're literally living in the dictatorship of the less than 1%.
Right. What we currently have is a dictatorship of the capitalist class. Right. So anyway, my point in going through all of that is just to say that we don't think that class is essential and eternal. Yeah. It's something that we need to overcome. And then once we overcome that, then humanity essentially becomes one big class. Yeah. In terms of relations to the material production, the means of production.
And then we're going to have a totally new society. And then...
Now, hold on. Another myth to dispel. It won't be utopia, right? No. There's no point... First of all, eliminating capitalism is a multi-generational problem. It's not something we can do in our lifetime. Yes. It's something that has been ongoing for over a century now. Yeah. Centuries really, and it will continue long past the time that all of us watching this and talking right now are dead.
Class is trying to push that back really hard.
The capitalist class wants to. So here's an interesting thing too to think about. When we talk about reactionaries and conservatives, what we're saying is these are people who either want to maintain the status quo as it is right now or roll back the clock and go to a previous time, which is antithetical to nature, to reality, because the nature of all things, phenomena, and ideas in human society and everything and all of us is change, is constant. Development is constant. So people who want to create this like fascists and conservatives and even liberals who want to maintain the status quo as it is eternally, we're going to have capitalism forever. They are fighting the very nature of reality.
Yeah.
And they're reactionaries. They're reacting to attempts to progress and to develop human society, right? So once we start to eliminate capitalism, and that will be a very long multi-generational process, but we will have many, many problems beyond that. We'll always have problems like, we can't even predict what kind of problems we'll have. Who knows? Like as long as human society continues to develop, new problems will crop up, new forms of oppression will crop up, new forms of injustice and inequality will crop up, and we'll have to constantly contend with those things forever and evermore. Okay, and we do that not by sitting around and just debating and discussing and thinking and questioning. Those things are part of the process, but they're not the most important part of the process. Practice is how you find out what works and what doesn't. It's how you discover truth. Practice, doing shit. Okay, we do fuck around, but we also find out. How do we find out? We find out through practice.
By fucking around.
Right. By fucking around. It's a dialectical process. You fuck around and find out, and fuck around and find out, and fuck around and find out forever.
Yes.
In the dialectical process of being a human being in our realm.
And make sure that the next time you fuck around, you do it better.
That's the idea.
That's the idea.
To try to improve over time. Anonymous, thank you for the 420 donation. That nets you a sweet, sweet dab. Anonymous, whoever you are, says, "Hi, EJ and Luna. Cherry again from the Black Flower Collective. We're ready to launch our fundraiser and have updated our website. We sent another email, hopefully to the right email this time. And have sent the last email the wrong address." Okay.
Ooh. I
am way, way out of the loop on my email, but I'm definitely going to look at that.
Definitely.
Thank you so much for the donation.
Yeah, thank you so much.
I hope you know, I don't know if you realize this, but we're traveling right now. We've been all over the place. We've been in Atlanta. We've been in Colombia. We're traveling a lot. But things will be normalizing. I'm not sure exactly when, but anyway, thank you so much for that. That's really exciting, and we will check that out and get back to you ASAP. Sorry if we missed it or whatever, but I'll check and see what's going on.
Yeah, today we just spent 8 hours in the car.
Like all day in the car and the aquarium.
Dude, that's
nothing but fish and roads.
Can I have 1 minute of whining about you don't have a public transportation?
No, we don't have. We do not have public transportation in America. It's the worst.
Everything is by cars. I'm so annoyed by that.
I'm just catching up with the chat. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mao said. I have not read a lot of Mao, but Marxist Puppy says Mao's sad class struggle continues even during socialism when capitalism is gone.
Yeah.
Well, capitalism isn't gone anywhere in the world yet.
Yeah.
Capitalism wasn't gone during the Chinese Cultural Revolution.
No.
It wasn't gone during the subsidizing model of Vietnam. It wasn't gone during any point in the Soviet Union. Capitalism, as long as it exists, that's in class struggle will continue to exist.
Here's the thing too.
I
can speak for a lot of Vietnamese communists. We never expect our country to be utopia or our system to be perfect. The one thing that we expect, we can eliminate the exploitation of capitalism. We know that along the way we're gonna, ever up. You're gonna make mistakes. The point is to do it and fix it. But that is why I can't stand the idea people on quote unquote leftists just love sitting there and have their imagine avatar world of socialism. I personally do not have energy or time of doing it, because what's the point? I never really spend hours of my life a day just sit there in front of the camera and talk about, this is gonna be my ideal social society.
Here's the thing. First of all, it's fun and it can be inspiring. Okay, and I've made plenty of videos. I had a speculative fiction series.
I like that series.
But the whole point isn't that we're the problem is people misinterpret that series all the time.
Yeah,
because they think that people want to argue with me about it. right? They'll be like, wait a minute, you said that in an anarchist society, then we would deal with garbage collection in this way. I think we're going to do it that way. And I'm like, dude, I'm just making this shit up. Do not take it seriously. Like, these are just like ideas to like, you know, get your brain ticking. Yeah. That's all. It's not supposed to be like, this is the formula.
Like, this might work, it might be this, but I don't know.
Here's the thing. Like, just think of baking, right? Yeah. Like, the reason we have recipes isn't because a bunch of people sat around and imagined, I wonder what really good cookies would taste like, and then they make a recipe and then they publish it.
Yeah.
The reason really good cookie recipes exist is because generations of people have made cookies and figured out what makes cookies fucking good.
And actually, we have to have our own like the recipes, okay?
So the point of my How Anarchism Works series was never to be like, this is the prescription,
and
this
it must
is the formula,
be
and we have to do it this way. It's just like, because actually the name of the series, the official name of the series is How Anarchism Might Work.
Yeah.
And we're not supposed to sit here and argue. Like when people say like, I hate your idea about how we would do X, Y, and Z, I'm like, okay, well, how would you do it? I don't care. Maybe you have a better idea. We won't know until we try shit. Like, that's so important for people to realize. And like, it almost makes me want to like delete the whole series sometimes, because so many people misunderstand it so thoroughly. Because I don't want it to be this like idealist utopian thing. That's not what I ever intended with it.
Yeah.
It's only supposed to just be like something that's kind of like inspirational, but like not the actual solutions to anything.
Yeah.
Now, I swear there was another thing I was going to talk about. I have a great comment. This is excellent. Perhaps capitalism has persisted because there is something inherently valuable about it. Okay, this is... First thing I want to say is slave society existed for thousands of years.
Yeah, maybe it existed.
It persisted for thousands of years.
About it, right?
Feudalism persisted for far longer than capitalism has persisted.
There's still feudalism in England to this day, so there must be some inherently valuable about it, right?
There's no link. There's no inherent connection between something being valuable and it persisting. Terrible fucking things persist for thousands of years, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like, sexism against women has persisting for thousands of years. Now, what Marx would say is that there is like a class character to ethics and morality, and it benefits some people. So certainly there are, if you want to say there's something valuable, capitalism certainly benefits capitalists a lot. Capitalism and imperialism benefit people in the imperial core at the expense of people in developing countries that become imperialized. Right? Yeah. What is the reason?
Looks like colonialism literally valuable to settlers.
Yeah. So that's why Marx and Engels were saying, yes, these things are valuable to a minority of people at the expense of a majority of people. But the fact that it persists doesn't inherently mean it has value. Like that's
you know what's the biggest problem?
No link.
The biggest problem with the question of this person is that they do not have consistent.
We don't know
perspective.
We don't know that. All we got was the question.
Okay.
You're guessing. You're speculating. But the mindset that capitalism has existed for a couple hundred years, therefore it must be great, that is a lack of a historical and comprehensive perspective. Yes. I'm not going to go ahead and say that person has that perspective, because I don't have enough. I don't have a comprehensive perspective of their perspective.
My fault. My bad.
It's okay. I just self-critted you. I love to self-crit, Luna.
It doesn't, self-crit doesn't mean that, but okay, whatever.
It doesn't usually mean that. But I like to self-crit you. I'm such an asshole. Dorian Sapiens, oi!
Oi! I want to answer the question of Pan that rolls out right after that.
Find it.
Yes.
China
the
has
ultimate question.
How do you have billionaires without some degree of capitalism? As long as most of the world operates on capitalism, even the most powerful country can't comply. Yeah. Okay, that's right. I wanted to go back to this. Okay. Yeah. So
the ultimate question.
I want to. There's one thing I wanted to add on to the very end of that too, because it's like not even just after the very last capitalist is like deposed, right?
I find that article.
What article?
That the first secretary of Communist Party of
Vietnam. Oh, we don't have to go that deep. You can if you want, but I was just going to say something simple. Okay. You can if you want. I'm not stopping you. I just have something simple to say. Okay. After, and I'm speaking hypothetically, yes, but it stands to reason in my mind. I mean, I could be wrong. We'll find out, I guess.
Yeah.
But in my mind, even after the very last capitalist is like gone, right? We will still be fighting class struggle for a long time after that. Why? Because according to dialectical materialism, as things develop, they inherit and carry forward traces of previous stages of development.
Contradictions always is.
So even if, whatever, 25, 50, 100 years from now, there's no more capitalism left because the workers have totally seized the means of production and we've gotten rid of capitalism. Well, guess what? We're still going to have all this detritus from capitalism. We're going to have mindsets. We're going to have bigotry and prejudice that was developed by capitalism.
We're still going to have some fascists who want to take power.
We're going to have all kinds of shit, legacy issues from capitalism. And that will still be class struggle.
Yeah,
and there will still be people who still have some kinds of benefits from those centuries of capital suppression.
People want to accumulate wealth.
Here's my proof for that. Because there are still relics, there are still legacy issues from feudalism and slavery.
Literally monarchists to this day.
Yeah, well, yeah, and I mean, like, look at Scotland, where like more than half of the land in all of Scotland is still owned by nobles. The royal family still owns how much land in the UK? I mean,
Northern Ireland still occupied by England.
Slavery was abolished. I mean, we know that slavery still exists in the prison system, but chattel slavery was abolished in the USA well over a century ago. But we still obviously have plenty of legacy issues from slavery, right? So just because a system is abolished or gotten rid of, there will still be traces of it carrying forward through forward.
And there's gonna be new contradictions and new problems that we can't even predict now. We don't even know, but the only thing that we know is that contradictions will exist. It is like the thing that we know for sure that the eternity thing is contradictions.
Yeah. So I mean, like, yeah, and I think one problem what people have is they go too far in either direction, honestly, because there are people, okay, and I'll throw these people under the bus first, who think that Vietnam and China or the USSR were or are perfect utopias that that we can't criticize at all. Yeah. And people think that Luna and I have that mindset, but we don't.
Like, dude,
we criticize. I mean, we criticize. Like, people say that we just completely mythologize Vietnam.
Dong, you must be.
Vietnam has so many problems.
Me thinks that my country is perfect. Like, what's wrong with you? Literally.
But there are people that go, and that's one deviation.
That's one deviation.
Because there are definitely people who are like, oh, the USSR was so perfect. It wasn't perfect. It did.
There's two people defend Russia right now because of the USSR.
Yeah, which is that's the deviation way the wrong. Yeah, because like Putin is, if anything, betrayed the USSR and the working class.
He knows better, but he's still freaking capitalist.
Okay, so that's one deviation. But you can also deviate in the other direction and say like, oh, why haven't you pushed the communism button? Why isn't everything just fully communist already? And it's
you still have a problem, so therefore you're like capitalist. So like the two deviations, and me like in the middle, it's like trying to like, both of you are really freaking wrong.
The last chattel slave in the USA was released in the 1940s, not a century ago. I'm very curious. I would like to hear that story. I didn't know
1940s.
I mean, but there are still slaves in America. I mean, let's not make any bones about that. And we've gone on and shown how people in the government in the USA have said that if they didn't use prison slave labor, the entire system would fall apart. So like, we know that it's pretty important. Yeah. So funny. But I'm just very curious. Like I don't know what I would have to Google to find that story, but if you have a link or something,
yeah.
Because that's something I didn't know.
So back to we answer that question real quick. A planet rose out about the billionaire thing because Vietnam was.
Oh, that was it. We covered it.
Vietnam also has a billionaire, and we have.
It's a contradiction.
We know that's a freaking contradiction, and we have to fix it in the future.
Yeah, it's a massive contradiction. It needs to be fixed. Yeah.
We arresting billionaires right now, Vietnamese billionaires right now.
But that's just the beginning. I mean, like not even that's like the tip of the iceberg of what needs to be done in the long run, and we know that. Okay. So anyway, all right. All right, here's an interesting. Okay, this is kind of getting into what we wanted to talk about with the internet and fad fascism and all this stuff. Okay, Marxist Leninist, 1993. You're not off topic, actually. In my opinion, leftists should abandon BreadTube because a lot of leftists on BreadTube are pro-imperialist. ContraPoints literally met with Hillary Clinton and praised her. Okay, now what? Now wait, hold on. I'm going to say this first of all.
ContraPoint and Hillary Clinton.
There are this is something that's so. It's so we have to untangle this, okay? Because there are some really terrible people who would say this exact same thing. I'm not saying I don't even know. I'm not making any names. I'm not making any guesses about you, Marxist Leninist 1993. I have no clue. We just kind of met, from what I can tell. I don't think you've been in the chat before, but anyway, maybe I forgot. I'm sorry, but I'm not saying you're associated with these people. But like, this is obviously something that like MAGA communists and American Patriot Socialists say a lot, right?
Oh, sure.
But there, and by the way, of course, I made a video about how MAGA communism is fascism. I don't like those people, okay, to say the least.
Speaking of Marxist-Leninists,
but I mean, the fact of the matter is, the Western left. It's not just BreadTube. Here's the problem: they're essentializing it as like a BreadTube problem. Yeah. I want to go a step further.
It's bigger than that.
I want to go 10 steps further and say it's the Western left, the white Western left specifically, especially, has major issues with imperialism that go back centuries. It's not like a new thing. Are you kidding me? Like, you can go back to Bakunin. You can talk about Bernstein. You could talk about the AFL-CIO, Harrington with the DSA. I mean, LaRouche, who was not really a leftist, but we'll throw him in there because he's a piece of shit too. All these people. Dugan. Well, I mean, yeah, but now you're getting into like actual just fascist territory.
Oh.
But all these people have all these, like, if you just want to talk about, I'm not even, let's put LaRouche and Dugan to the side, okay? Okay. Because that's muddying the waters a lot. No, I'm serious, because because I'm just talking about people like Bakunin and Bernstein, Harrington, AFL-CIO. Like, there are all these different organizations and entities and individuals who have been incredibly white supremacist, Western chauvinist, and pro-imperialist for centuries, you know, going back to the 19th century at least. So there's totally truth to that. And there's truth to it for sure that, like, I mean, ContraPoints meeting with Hillary Clinton. Yeah, I mean, like, that's like ridiculous. That's like super lib, okay? Come on, right? Now, but here's the thing. You got to also understand the history of BreadTube, okay? It's complicated. And really, we haven't done enough to detail this shit. I've been here since, not the beginning at all, okay? But I've been here since like the beginning of the big upswell of BreadTube.
Right?
There's like different stages of BreadTube, and there have been different, like, sometimes different like branches developing side by side as well. So, for instance, there's like old BreadTube. Old BreadTube is like very kind of academic. If you go and you look at like YouTube videos from like 2010, 11, 12, there are some people who have been making like these kind of dry but interesting history and philosophy videos for like way longer than I've been tuned in, and almost anybody, right? And some of them have come and gone, but that's like old BreadTube, right? And then in like 2015, 2016, 2017, around that era, there were people like ContraPoints and H-Bomber Guy and Philosophy Tube who were starting to come aboard. And the thing was, at that time, fascism, because of Gamergate and all that other shit and the manosphere and all that shit, fascism had like completely taken over the internet. Okay. I mean, they were all over Twitter. They were all over YouTube.
4chan.
Everywhere. Yeah. Well, they were coming from 4chan to all these places, 4chan, right? Yeah. But mainstream Facebook, Twitter, YouTube was taken over by fascists. And then these were people who, like ContraPoints, H-Bomber Guy, Philosophy Tube are the big three, and there were others, but these were people who were not fascist, okay, and they were actually like pushing back against a lot of fascist ideas, and there were a lot of people who were like kind of there were these nascent kind of like anarchistic, communistic Facebook groups and pockets on Twitter and little Reddit groups and stuff, and they formed BreadTube as a demographic. Okay, that's what you got to understand. BreadTube was a group of content creators who really weren't even linked together, except that the same people watched their content. And those people tended to be more left than like the average lib. And they all liked the same stuff. And it was like, okay, hey, ContraPoints is not a fucking fascist, right? That's what they were thinking like in 2015, 2016, 2017. ContraPoints is not a fascist. ContraPoints is funny. ContraPoints is talking about things that are important and pushing back against some of this fascist bullshit. We will all enjoy that content together and all the other people, right? But I'm not going to speak for everyone, but like ContraPoints never claimed, to my knowledge, to be a communist or an anarchist, right? And ContraPoints didn't come up with the word breadtube. None of those people came up with the breadtube. The audience did. People don't understand that there's a dialectical relationship between audiences and creators. And sometimes creators get put into positions they don't necessarily want to be in. I don't think ContraPoints ever really wanted to be like the darling of anarchists and communists. I don't think ContraPoints ever claimed to be anything like a communist or an anarchist. Okay. So the fact that ContraPoints is liberal shouldn't really surprise anybody. I correct me if I'm wrong, chat, but I don't think ContraPoints ever claimed to be communist or an anarchist.
No, I don't think so.
Okay. And I'm not sure about Philosophy Tube or H Bomber Guy. I don't really know them that well. I've never talked to any of these people, by the way. I've never had any kind of engagement whatsoever. I don't even know if they know I exist or Luna. So, but the point of the matter is, I'm not surprised that ContraPoints is liberal because I did watch ContraPoints' stuff for a long time and never saw any indication that ContraPoints was anything but socially conscious liberal. That's all I ever really thought ContraPoints was. And people acting like that's so surprising. And I'm not trash talking about it. I'm just giving you my perspective as somebody who's been kind of around for kind of a long time. Since I started paying attention to this stuff in like 2015, 2016. That's kind of a long time ago, not super long ago. But anyway, okay. So then 2017, when I start my blog, and then 2018, whenever, I think that's when me and Thought Slime and a few other radical reviewer and people who aren't around anymore, like they went by Radiant 2 Pi at the time, bunch of other people got started. And we were like overt anarchists and communists, right? Like we were like, we're here, we want to abolish capitalism, right? And you can think of that as maybe, I guess that would be BreadTube 3.0 from my experience. Because BreadTube 1.0 was like the people who were like real old school. BreadTube 2.0 was like the audience defined ContraPoints folks. And then BreadTube 3.0 was like folks like me and Thought Slime and like a handful of other people. Open anarchists. Yeah, and we were like anti-capitalist anarchists mostly. I don't know if anybody was Marxist-Leninist at that time. Luna might have been the first prominent Marxist-Leninist YouTuber. I mean, I don't know if that's true. That might not be true, but one of the first for sure.
Maybe one of the early.
Maybe, yeah, I don't know if you or Hakeem was earlier, but anyway.
Yeah, the non-white,
Yeah. So then, and now there's all these different branches and threads. Because like at that point in time, we were kind of tight-knit, actually. There were, like, I wouldn't say we were a community or a collective, but we all kind of knew each other. There were probably 3 or 4 Discord servers and we all knew each other. But since then, we've all broken apart more or less. I do keep in touch with a small number of people from that era.
I blame the Western left.
But yeah, but I mean, and I have to admit, I've been disappointed. I'm not going to name any names because I don't want to, and it's not necessary. But I will say that a lot of people that I was pretty tight with back then have since turned out to be anywhere ranging from self-neutralizing in the sense that they've just decided, hey, politics isn't for me anymore. I'm stepping out. And that's fine. Whatever. That's fine. All the way to they turned out to be fucking fascists and anywhere in between. Like very few people have taken the journey that Luna and I have to where we try to maintain communism, anti-capitalism, anti-imperialism, etc. And they would say the same. They would say I'm terrible. I know they would. I know they would. They would have their own reasons to say I'm terrible. But it's like that's where we are. So okay. So getting back to the question, I don't know. I just wanted to give you a little idea of the history here to say yes, absolutely. The Western left is extremely disappointing, and frankly, for the most part, always has been when it comes to things like imperialism and racism and all kinds of other.
I see. Do you hear the thing? Looking from the perspective of non-white, we said like Vietnamese communists, of course, leftists, and we disagree with each other a lot. But at least on the base, the foundation, we still have a solidarity with each other. We still agree on like basic stuff. So we like anti-imperialist, okay? But like in the Western left, I see no solidarity whatsoever. You love dunking on each other so freaking much. You love destroying each other.
The debate culture, that's a whole thing. The debate thing That I left that out of the history.
Oh yeah.
But when debate rose up, that was like a huge groundswell. I mean, that changed a lot. And then the people who went from BreadTube to debate, those people, they got sucked into this dark world of just awfulness for the most part. I mean, a few people managed to escape. Vera escaped. Who else? That's all I can think of off the top of my head. I don't think Vera's the only one. But Vera was like a big debate personality for a while. Relatively big. But managed to escape. In fact, I think Vera's Twitter profile is something like former debate person or something. I don't know. But anyway, but most people that went into the debate world just got sucked into that vortex.
And seriously speaking, from the perspective of non-white woman, person of color, communists, I gotta say that a lot of the decent people that I knew before, at least like they were not sexist and racist to me. But then after they got into the debate sphere, they just used me, like using all the kind of terrible attack, the racist and sexist, and to attack me to get their point. And then seriously.
Yeah. But then, okay, so now we're getting into what I actually planned to talk about today.
Finally,
and
an hour.
Al QK just brought it up. Too much infighting. The divides among certain influencers is ridiculous nonsense. Okay.
Yeah, nonsense.
You don't know how much of this stuff is kayfabe, though, fake. You don't know how much of this drama is totally fabricated, okay?
Yes, exactly.
And I'm not even just, look. Again, I'm not going to name names right now. Because I don't want to have to go and have to document it and stuff. But I'm just telling you, and you could believe me or not.
And I don't want the minions to go after us.
Right. You can believe me or not believe me. I'm just telling you what I personally know.
Leave it.
I personally have heard recordings where people have had a hot mic on during a debate with Nazis. All right. These are people who proclaim to be leftists.
Yes.
They proclaim to be leftists. And these are things you could find if you really wanted to. So it's like, okay, I'm like leftist debate person who's really good at like kicking Nazi ass in debate. Okay. And I'm talking to the Nazi. And there's a hot mic on and we don't realize that it's streaming this stuff. And I'm just talking to the Nazi like we're old friends. Like, oh, hey, how you doing? Oh, how's so-and-so? Oh, it's been a long time. Oh, remember we did this? Ha, ha, ha. And they're like having fun and yucking it up because they have an ongoing business relationship between the Nazi and the leftist. Okay.
They need each other.
And this is like, and there's like, they have plots where they'll go and they'll, it's like professional wrestling. If you think that the debate world is real, and not just the debate world, because this stuff spills out into like BreadTube or whatever the fuck you want to call it too. But if you think that all this stuff is real, all the drama is real, and none of it is manufactured, then it's like thinking that professional wrestling is real.
Yeah, literally. Now, are there people who believe wrestling is real?
There are, yeah. But I mean, it's sad when people think that. It's like they shouldn't. But all that's to say this, okay? There are real beefs and stuff. I'm not saying it's all fake, but like a lot of it's concocted. Okay. Now, the other thing is hypersectarianism and what I call fad fascism.
Yeah, I like that point too.
It's like thinking Republicans versus Democrats is real.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sure that there are Republicans who really do hate Democrats, right?
Yeah, they think that.
But they still probably play it up for their different respective audiences.
They need each other.
They do.
They need two sides of a coin. They need each other to fool you. Illusion of choice.
This is a dialectical materialist truth right here. If you hang out with fascists all the time, you're going to feel social pressure to get along with them sooner or later. Also, your audience and the fascist audiences will start to mingle and merge, and you're going to have to start to look. It's dialectical materialism. You cannot impact somebody without being impacted yourself. That's why the act of going in and talking to fascists all the time.
Does this person want to end the existence of whole race? And then like, let's debate that person until they think that they're wrong. They know that they are wrong, but they still want to do it because it benefits them, you ding ass.
So, ding ass. I like that. Ding ass. That's a nice one. That's a new one. Okay. So, let's talk about hypersectarianism and fad fascism. Okay? These are two closely related concepts. And I just came up with one of the terms. I don't remember where I heard hypersectarianism, but I love that term. I didn't come up with it. Hypersectarianism is the idea that internet personalities have made it so that it's not even just like anarchist versus Marxist-Leninist or egoist versus ANCOM or Maoist versus Trotskyist. It's not even like that anymore. It's like this person's fans versus this individual's fans. Like the sectarianism has gotten to the point where they've divided up into little teeny tiny little cult camps that are dedicated to individual personalities.
Dude, seriously, you just go to YouTube and you type some big YouTuber's name and how many of the videos like this person versus that person.
Yeah. Or this person takedown or whatever. That's like all anyone wants to watch. Now, it's not really new. Bakunin did this shit in the 19th century. Bakunin had a little cult and tried to take over the First International, I believe. And had all these little power struggles and stuff and had individual sycophantic followers. And there were people like that during the Russian Revolution. There were all kinds of these little like cliques and stuff. That's nothing new, but the internet has like kind of given it a quality shift to where it's very pernicious right now in this particular point in time.
Exactly. I made a mistake one time that I was looking for an old video of mine for my editing a new video. And then I just typed my name and then enter. It's like, big mistake.
Now, related to this idea of hypersectarianism is what I'm calling, and tell me if there's a better name for this, I'm calling it fad fascism. And what it is let's go back to that history lesson I gave you, remember? Okay, so around 2017, 18, that era, if you've been around long enough, you know that Twitter and YouTube and Facebook, it was like festering with overt Nazis. I mean, these were people who were like not shy about using swastikas. They were the people who were putting Jewish people's names in like parentheses and shit. It was like overt fascism, and it was really a huge problem. Okay. And then there were these like prototypical campaigns where the fascists were starting to go and like pretend to be leftists in these very limited little campaigns. And one of them was the OK symbol. So they did this thing where they were like, oh, let's pretend to be anarchists and communists, and let's go out and say the OK symbol is a fascist symbol, and it'll make if you're familiar with that story, it was like a little op that they ran. It was to try to simultaneously make communists and anarchists and anti-fascists look ridiculous while also creating this little dog whistle that they could use, where if they use the OK symbol and it's like if I know I'm a fascist and you know you're a fascist, then we can signal to each other with the OK symbol. But it also isn't a fascist symbol when like non-fascists use it, because it's just like a normal symbol that people use all the time, right? So this whole thing. But that was like one of their first forays in this era into pretending to be leftists. And it worked pretty well. Now, the fascists started to get deplatformed because of the work of left-oriented content creators and academics and that sort of thing, who started pointing out
RedTube 1.0 and 2.0.
RedTube 1.0 and RedTube 2.0 and liberals. Because at the time, liberals were kind of being anti-fascist, and they were saying, look, we got all these fascists, it's a problem. And people were, but basically, so they started to get deplatformed. They started to get kicked off of Twitter. They started to get kicked off of YouTube. And, remember the dark, the intellectual dark web started to get pointed out, and people were doing studies at universities about how YouTube was pushing people to fascist content. So to some extent, and don't take this, they didn't kick all the fascists off, but they kicked like the overt fascism off to where like it was undeniable. Okay. Now, then what happened? These people the debate bros started to come around. The MAGA communists started to come around. The Pat Socks started to come around. It's a really weird coincidence.
Yeah, right.
That they started to crop up. These kind of like faux leftist people.
Mushroom like pops up,
So I'm just asking you to like think about this for a moment, okay? And then we get all these really bizarre, and I call it fad fascism. Now there's all these different strains of it. Okay, so now there's like dozens of these. Okay, one thing you have to understand: there's no one magic silver bullet solution to all the problems of human society. And if somebody tries to tell you there is, or if someone tries to tell you that they're the individual that has all the problems or whatever, then fucking tell them to take a hike and do not engage with them. I don't want you to think that about me and Luna.
No.
At all. We don't know all the answers. we're not people you should be following, like, you know, lockstep, right? I mean, we hope you think that some of our ideas are useful. We'd like to have camaraderie with some of you, you know, but like, yeah, we want to hear your ideas. That's very important. Because we've learned way more about things from y'all than you realize. We've learned a lot from our audience. But anyway, the point is that there's all these different little cults now, and it's really fucking bad.
Personality.
Yeah, I mean, and like, there's really not a strong movement anymore of online leftism. It's kind of gotten so fragmented, and there's so many bad actors. There's so many trolls. There's so many ops being run. And I'm not necessarily talking about the feds or the cops or whatever. I mean, it could be anything. It could be, who knows? It could be 4chan. It could be just individual opportunists, whatever. Who the fuck knows? But it's really, really, really bad right now. And it's hard to find people to trust. And so Luna and I have honestly kind of receded a little bit. And we're kind of like,
back out a little bit.
Hey, it's Twin Rabbit. Welcome to the varsity. Welcome to the communist varsity. But no, things are bad. Things are really, really, really bad right now. And I'm telling you, it's probably the worst it's been. And a lot of people are falling for it. A lot of people are getting turned off and leaving. Yeah. Which I don't necessarily blame them for that. So anyway, what do you think we should do about all this fragmentation? How do we unite the left? Okay, now let's talk about, so I don't know if I need to elaborate more on this, or if y'all, I mean, maybe y'all are seeing it. Like, what worries me is that sometimes it feels like y'all aren't seeing it. Yeah. And it's just like, maybe it's because you're not as fucking drowning in this stuff as me and Luna are, you know, because we do this all day, every day almost. I mean, we're like, not lately. We've fortunately been able to take a bit of a break the last few weeks, but generally speaking, we're like knee deep in this shit, in the muck of this shit all the time.
You think whenever we want to get out, the drama just wants to suck us in. It's so annoying.
Well, we've gotten a little bit better at just disengaging. I will say that. We've gotten a little bit thicker skin about some of that stuff. But there's so many of these little cults where these little like individual cults of personality, these little individual like fad ideologies are coming out. So now we have these like anarchists who, I don't know if you've heard about this. This is just one example, but there are like dozens of these. But one example is these like anarchists who want to like basically, I can't even say these words on stream or we'll probably get like super, not just demonetized, but buried. But they essentially want to do things to unalive lots of people. Let's put it that way. And they're just like, it's really gross. And then we found out that one of them is a Boogaloo boy, right? A fascist that has been like, and then all these people are like caping for that person. So it's like, there's all these different strains of really bad ideology running around right now. And they're all presenting like these, like, so there's like, I don't know. It's like, there's no silver bullet magic solution. It's not like if you just only focus on, oh, I'm just going to go live on a farm. That's what I'm going to do. And then all your problems go away. I'm going to go live on a farm and all my problems will be gone. All capitalism will dissolve if we all as individuals go and live on a farm.
If you have the money to buy a farm, to own a farm, that's a privilege. At least like especially in like, you know, first world country.
Yeah. So Sugar, I don't know if this is directed to me. I have no idea. What is your theory? Say it explicitly. What is my theory? What's my theory for like ending capitalism? We have to create a movement like that actually has like material presence in the real world. For one thing, we can't just sit around debating and talking about it. Not what we're doing right now. More praxis. Yeah, we're way overabundant, not even on theory, but on hypothesizing, speculating, and really just bickering about bullshit and coming up with these like fantastic, you know, fantasies when we need to just actually be like getting together. And, okay, so this is okay. This is actually a good segue. Let's talk about some things that we can actually do. And I think one problem is social media. There's truth to this, and there's also Yeah, dialectical materialism is the name of my theory, our philosophy, if that's what you're talking about. Okay. Too many leftists think individually. Yes. Ironically, right-wingers act collectively. They do sometimes, to an extent. They will sort of cynically and opportunistically work together and in ways that we need to get better at doing. But really they don't really, they're not as collective as they seem sometimes. And I think that's fascists are infighting constantly too, right? They're not they don't all just love each other and hold hands all the time. Hold on, I'm just trying to read the chat here. We got a lot of questions and stuff.
To catch up, yeah.
But okay, social media has been a big problem. It's really kind of individualized everything. Because what social media as it exists right now on Twitter and Facebook and even YouTube and what we're doing right now with Twitch, it's a bunch of individuals kind of screaming into a void and trying to get all the attention.
Oh, thank you so much, Marcus.
I miss you guys' conversations, by the way. Hope you're all doing well. I've been working 2 jobs and doing school, so it's hard to keep with live stream. Wow, that's a lot. No problem at all.
Wow.
So anyway,
hope you're doing well too.
So okay, social media has all these problems. Now, I think that right now we're in this weird situation because Facebook, we all know, sucks. Nobody even, I don't know anybody who really uses Facebook anymore.
Metaverse.
The metaverse is tanking, okay? And Twitter just got musked up. And people are trying to find other places to go. Here's the thing.
Choose media with the...
That's bullshit. That's bullshit. Okay. But here's the thing. I don't know for a fact that people keep asking, because I used to be really big on Mastodon, all right? But here's the thing. Mastodon is kind of has all the same problems as Twitter has had in a lot of ways. Not all the same, but a lot of the same problems. But it's still this place where a bunch of individuals go and shout at each other. And it's I don't know. I can only speculate, but maybe what we need is more of a small batch social experiences. I'm not saying go offline completely, and I'm not saying stop using these platforms, but if we're going to use Twitter or Mastodon or YouTube or whatever, let's try to do it more collectively. And let's try to find local comrades that we can get together with in smaller, more human, collaborative spaces online.
I miss the day when we actually just use Facebook to literally set schedule and appointment to meet each other in real life.
That's what Facebook, when I was in my 20s, Facebook was really just a way for me to interact with my friends that I actually knew in real life. And it was okay, we'll have an event and we'll all go to this bar together. We'll all go to this party together. We'll all go see a show together, whatever. Who's going to be there? Blah, blah, blah. Right. And maybe we need to go back towards that. I haven't seen these
friends in so long. Let's check the Facebook to see how they're doing right now. I mean, it's very, very
well
healthy.
At this point, yeah, my Facebook became such a train wreck. I just deleted it. But Planet Rosa, thank you for the super chat. And there's a YouTube video. I don't know what that is. I'll check that out.
Yeah.
But thank you very much.
And then there's also a new donation from Cherian.
You want to read that?
Yeah. Thank you so much. It's 420 again. It's another dab. The message says, no worries on the email. Whenever you settled and comfortable, we want to set up an interview to discuss rural organizing and promote our project.
Anyone who wants to check us out can find us at blackfirecollective.noblogs.org. Have a fun trip. Talk to you later. You didn't have to do another super chat for that, but thank you. Really sweet. I'll paste that link into the chats. Thank you very much. All right. And then, communal education. Oh, hey. The super chat is our bread talk. I'm going to paste that in too. This is a great bread talk on communal education, so definitely check that out. Thank you, Planet Rosa. If this is Planet Rosa's bread talk, we should bring back the bread talk soon.
Yeah.
All right, so Dorian Sapien says Discord seem more conducive to collaborative spaces, experiences. And okay, I'm not going to name names because again, I don't want to. This is people I don't want. It's the opposite. These are good people that I don't want to get fucked with. But I do have some organizations that I actually work with in more of a real world context. And yeah, we have a little Facebook chat, or we'll have a Discord group or whatever. And it's just a small number of us, and we actually try to do shit.
Each other.
Well, but we do practice.
Try to do shit.
We do practice.
The point is to do shit.
Yeah. And I also have little group chats with people that I do content shit with as well. You know what I mean? It's that seems more like what I want to spend my time doing instead of going on to some kind of
productive and effective.
Instead of going on some kind of Twitter clone and just trying to get a bunch of fucking attention from strangers. and just shout ideas into the void and argue with people who I have no fucking connection to whatsoever.
I understand that kind, because there was some kind of like some time for me in the past that I got kind of addicted to it a little bit, and after like a while, a few weeks or something, like I know that kind of toxic could be addictive, and people got sucked into it, and then like, of course, like you got like manipulated by your co-leaders to like keep doing that and persuade you, like, man, like I really hope that every single one of you, if you kind of feel like that, you should like take a few days break from online stuff.
Luna and I have kind of backed up. Well, not really through choice of our own, but we've been offline quite a lot lately.
Yeah, a lot.
And it's been
it doesn't matter.
Very refreshing.
The internet doesn't matter.
No, it matters.
No, that much.
You need to have a healthy relationship with the internet. You have to have boundaries.
My point, actually, I should not use the word internet. I mean, like, the dramas.
The drama is bullshit. That's the distraction.
They don't matter.
And by the way, people are intentionally trying to waste our time and distract us, and
that's what I want to
deflect from actually doing
like
shit.
Internet, I mean, like the drama.
And by the way, a lot of people, content creators and streamers alike, have said that real world activity doesn't matter, and what really matters is arguing about shit with Nazis online.
Oh my god,
that's not true. Okay, all right. Hold on, I got some starred chats here. I want to read. I already read that one. Okay. I recently joined a group of leftists, anarchist, communist, democratic, confederalists. We established a weekly book cafe. Surprisingly easy, really rewarding. Yes, Mod Mouse. This is what I'm trying to fucking talk about. Honestly, this is exactly what I'm trying to talk about. This sounds exactly what I'm talking about. Like, why don't we do more stuff like this? I don't know what to call it. I don't like, what do you call that? It's like, just like have real social networks with people and do stuff.
People and talk to people in real life. It is way more humane, and there's gonna be less and less dehumanization of it. It's so much better. You're gonna have each other like actually listen to each other, make sure that other people listen to you and you listen to other people. It's way more humane than the online thing where literally you like anonymous, and then who knows what that anonymous actually is.
Right.
And with like through the internet like that, through like the screen like that, you like dehumanize.
Yeah.
You got dehumanized.
The internet is a tool. Okay.
It is
you can have real relationships on the internet, right? And you can
like
have
us.
Yeah, right.
Right.
And we have real relationships with comrades. I mean, we're gonna meet with some comrades soon, that we haven't actually met in meet space before.
Yeah, that's amazing.
But like, here's the thing. It is important, and we should be out there. We need to be on these platforms. I mean, I'm here talking to you on Twitch and YouTube right now.
Yeah.
Like, we have to use these. We have to leverage these platforms. But like, okay, if we're gonna have like a Twitter account, maybe my individual Twitter account is not so important, but like maybe we need to try to build like collective Twitter accounts for like our little organizations. Like if you have a little cafe book club, maybe you could tweet out every week. Like you can come up together and say like, here's like an article that you should read. Here's a book that we just read. Here are our thoughts on that book.
Yeah.
Stuff like that, where it's more collective and there's more like kind of like group accountability and group. You can share the labor. You can signal boost each other, stuff like that, but not in this goddamn cult of personality way. Okay, that's predominant right now, because there are a lot of people doing things on Discord servers and group chats, but it's toxic as fuck, and it's all on surface to these little cults, and we have got to dismantle these little cults. I mean, it's just so. It's such a huge phenomenon. Like people have just gotten like they've just streamlined the process of building a little cult of personality to where people can set them up in like a couple of weeks now, and they'll have like a little cult of personality like following their bidding, and they're going out and harassing people and running ops and stuff, and it's mostly like fast shit. It's really bad. We gotta resist that shit as well, and that's tough.
Just a lot of chat to catch up. Ooh.
So. It's tough. Meet comrades. Yeah, meet in meet space. That's right. I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of bullshitting right now. I'm just sharing some half-baked thoughts that I've had. Okay, Marxist Puppy says, I don't like normies. I have no patience in talking about what socialism is. They want to be misinformed and brainwashed, only reach out to people curious about it. I mean, yeah. Well, hey, listen, we are in an embryonic phase right now. Right? Like, you should be really selective about who you work and build with right now.
You
right?
should be.
I mean, like,
terribly, like, neatly.
Yeah, I mean, like, things, I mean, it depends on what you're doing, right? If you're doing like food, not bombs, you can't be that selective about who you're giving your food to, obviously.
Yeah.
If you're going out and pamphleting for like a mutual aid drive or something like that, you have to be like inclusive of your community. It depends on your goals and it depends on what you're doing. If you want to build, if you want to better organize your actual like neighborhood, like the block that you live on, then you're going to have to be a lot more patient with people and a lot more willing to sit down and talk to people and build with people that you don't agree with about everything. If you look at what Fight Toxic Prisons does, for instance, with Big Villainous.
The point that you make your goals clear so you know exactly how to
your goals and your audience and all that stuff. Plan it out, but then also find out what's going to work and what's not through praxis. But like if you're more interested in doing what me and Luna do, which is what we're doing right now, or trying to do, which is kind of like agitprop education, that kind of stuff. Then yeah, maybe be more selective. Like I don't want to go and try to debate Nazis and try to pull their audience into my audience and build the biggest audience. Like that's not what I want to do. I'm pretty happy with having a smaller, more focused audience with pretty cool people in the chat who ask respectful questions and give us really cool links to look at.
Quality than quantity.
We're really focusing on quality over quantity right now. Absolutely, yeah. I mean, if anything, I feel like the sweet spot for my channel was back about 50,000 subscribers ago. It's kind of gotten a little bit unwieldy in some ways. You know what I mean? I'm not complaining. This is a good problem to have, but I'm just saying, like, we don't want to, like, at this point in time, talk to everybody. You know, and I don't have the patience to talk to fucking everybody, and I don't want to sit here and explain why your favorite streamer sucks to, like, you know, diehard fans. You know, it's like, if you really like so and so and who, whatever, do your whatever. I'm not talking to you right now. You're low on my priorities. I want to talk to people who are really interested in trying to do what we're doing and build.
Exactly, just like my channel right now. Actually, like I kind of like it this way because it grows really slow, but I love it because, like, you know, I said I want more quality than quantity, and also at the same time, my target audience is not white people, Marxist Leninists, and I appreciate very much if you're Marxist or even non-Marxist and if you're white to listen to me. But like, gotta say that my really target audience is non-white people out there in the world. So yeah.
I think encouraging more collaboration among leftist content creators would help immensely. That's something we're trying to do. That's difficult to do, and I will tell you, as a content creator, I'll be the first to say I'm difficult to work with. I mean, like, you know, I've had a lot of people that have wanted to do stuff with me, and I've been flaky and bad at answering emails and shit. Y'all know that. We're going to try really hard to work on that. We're hopefully going to be bringing somebody on soon who's going to join our cooperative and help with that kind of stuff and help us, because Luna and I suck at it, but we're trying. We're trying. And we have some good irons in the fire. We have some good opportunities. So I agree. But it also depends on, like, which content creators you're talking about. Because there are some content creators that are gotten really good at working together, and they're terrible, awful fucking people. And they've built, like, the worst possible kinds of little networks that do just, like, terribly disruptive and harmful things. So yeah. But those people aren't really leftists or whatever. They're not what they claim to be. Okay, what the hell is a normie? Comrade Clevername says. Useless fucking internet word, that's what it is. I mean, yeah, I mean, nobody's normal. That's true.
Everybody is abnormal.
Have you ever met a normal person in your entire life?
Define normal.
If you talk to somebody long enough, you will eventually realize how weird they are.
I'm a weirdo.
But I am a weirdo. I mean, but there are people who are far less. Look, I'm from the deep South in South Carolina, and I know that there are people who are going to be much harder to reach, and it's going to take a lot more labor to reach, but not in every single area. Like, for instance, if I talk to a farmer around here, there will be a lot of things that we agree on, and there will be a lot of things that we can kind of, like, you can sort of build a platform from there and then try to expand it or whatever. But, you know, it's like, I don't know. You have to know your audience, and you have to
know your goals.
Yeah, know your goals.
And how to get from your audience to the goals.
But at some point, we have to really become less, as I'm saying, collectively, as a movement, at some point, and hopefully it's very soon, we have to collectively become less asocial and antisocial. Because we have had so much individualism and anti-socialism and alienation ingrained into us by capitalism. And I have it like Luna doesn't really have that problem. Luna's not asocial or antisocial because she comes from a collectivist society. I come from this individualist garbage society where it's really been something I have to overcome.
That's funny.
You know it's true, though. Find the masses. That's classes with revolutionary potential. Those classes with revolutionary potential. Yeah. Talk to them. Yeah. That's absolutely true. And I mean, we have to develop to get there. I completely agree with Clever Name 100%. I will also just say a lot of us have a lot of self-development to do. And I'm not saying that like self-help or individual development is the most important thing, but we need to support each other to try to very rapidly dissolve this alienation and this antisocial and this misanthropy that we have. Because like I know in the USA, like most of us are super misanthropic because existing in the society is very difficult. And can I tell you a story real quick about the varsity? Okay, so I was in the varsity today, right? I didn't tell you this story yet, Luna. So you remember when we were eating, there was that group of like college kids right next to us? Okay. I had a situation where I had prejudice because these were like, they looked like kind of like rich college kids, right? You agree with that? And they were talking kind of like rich Southern college kids. And I was just assuming that they were going to be like shitty assholes. I just had this total prejudice. I was like, oh man, I'll bet these kids are really obnoxious. But then when like you were in the bathroom or something and like my mom was probably smoking a cigarette or something, I don't know. And then like I was just listening to them. And they had a really like wholesome conversation.
Really?
So yeah, like one of the kids was like, they were probably like 18 or 19. They're really young. But one of the kids was like, man, I don't understand why like ever since COVID, people have just been so aggressive to like retail workers and food workers. Like, I don't get it. It's like, is it? Yeah. And the other one was like, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Like, it's obvious that it's not their fault that there are all these problems. I mean, can't people tell that like, it's not like the guy who's like giving you your food's fault that like they're out of onion rings. It's not like the person who's like trying to help you at Best Buy's fault that like they don't have the charger that works with your phone. I mean, like, why is everyone being so, it was just like such a wholesome, they were like being so nice about it. And I was just like, oh, the kids are all right. It was very inspiring, but like, but that's a situation where I might have really not wanted to go talk to those kids in a political context or whatever, but they might have been more receptive than I would have thought. You know what I'm saying? So we need to fight back against this alienation and antisocial, problems. And by the way, I know that there are people that have actual disabilities that have agoraphobia. I have a really good friend with agoraphobia, and I'm from each according to their ability to each according to their need, right? So take this message and tailor it to your own personal circumstances, but we can all stretch and we can all reach to go farther, to be better, to improve collectively and support each other to those ends. Is that fair to say?
Yeah. Well, you only know by talking to them.
This is something that's going to be interesting. Laid off Twitter employees finding out the hard way that capitalism spares no one, not even empire servants like Twitter coders. Maybe a few of them will turn Marxist. I was saying, okay, I hate to fucking tell you all I told you so about this shit, but I'm telling you, I told you so. I've been saying it for at least 2 years that the labor aristocracy of tech bros, their days are numbered.
Yes.
Have I not been saying this for a long time?
I remember you've been saying this for years.
I've done been saying it.
Yes.
Because if you just look at history, there's always been some sector of the working class that has been like
the high-paid working class,
and they always end up getting completely fucking shoved down to the bottom. I mean, it was factory workers in like the 50s and 60s, right? I mean,
the tech worker who got paid like
it was retail workers.
$150,000.
Do you know like service workers were on top for a long time? They got pushed down. Now it's tech workers. They are going to get pushed down. Nobody rides high forever, except for the capitalists.
We're vibing.
We're
so
vibing
hard
tonight. Luna, we're vibing for the first time in such a
Finally.
long time. Holy smokes. What a vibe. Catch the vibe, folks. All right, I haven't been reading the chat. I just admit it, self-crit.
Yeah.
So if you've all been talking, I know y'all have good comments. I'm sorry. I'm going to try to read a little bit.
So like those tech, workers are so naive. They got paid so high. They live in nice apartment. They think that they, side with the capitalists. They think like they the good lapdogs of the capitalists. They don't know. Just like a bunch of the traders of Vietnam working with the French colonialists. They live in mansions. Literally, they had Vietnamese trader collaborators who had other Vietnamese work as servants for them. They work as work for the French, and they thought that they could be the elite of Vietnamese people. Could they rule alongside with the French like colonialists? Just dumbass.
Yeah. God, and I'm right. There's so many good chats. So okay, Psychram said, I don't think so. One of these chats is on Twitch and the other one's on YouTube. So I don't think that the second is responding to the first, but it is a good response to the first.
Right.
So
Yeah, right.
I'm gonna do a little matchmaking here. Psychram said, I'm reluctant to talk to people in my area because all of the ones I've talked to, aside from my older brother, all seem to think work should be necessary for a good life. And then this is not a response to that, but Twin Rabbit also said, I don't know who you were talking to, Twin Rabbit, but Twin Rabbit said, oh, in that case, don't build a space with those who are hostile to the concept of building the space you're trying to build. Takes a lot of time to find good allies. I think that's a good response, right? I'm just going to pirate that response and say, yeah, that's a good response. And then Mirror Surfer said, essentially try not to conscript them into our Antifa super soldier program, aka try to build leftist spaces with them. And you don't have to build leftist spaces with everybody, by the way. Sometimes you just work with somebody temporarily towards one common goal. Fight Toxic Prisons. Go look at the youtube.com/noncompete live workshops from Fight Toxic Prisons. They're free. It's fucking good content. And they talk about how they have been able to successfully stop prisons from being built, sometimes in conjunction with landlords and like petty bourgeoisie and conservatives and shit.
Those like weird leftists were just like, you work with landlords, you forever cancelled.
And they say in the stream, like, fuck landlords. They're not our allies. They're not our comrades.
Yes.
But they also didn't want a prison being built next to their land. So we opportunistically worked with them.
Yeah.
And they opportunistically worked with us. And it was a temporary, like, alliance of circumstance and convenience, but in the end it stopped a prison from getting fucking built. And what have you ever done? That's basically what they said.
Yeah.
And it's true. And it's like, so but let's think about like your neighborhood, right? Like, let's say you want to get your neighborhood more organized. There will be people in your neighborhood who are never going to be communists, but you still might want to try to like build with them.
Yeah.
And they might be willing to build with you in some ways. Like they might want to have a nicer park, right? Like maybe they have some power tools and they like the idea of having a nicer park bench or, fixing the retired couple's roof or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Or like maybe that they might never be leftists. But like, hey, you want to have a free vegetable, turn this into a communal garden. So
make a communal garden, yeah.
Yeah, everybody will benefit from it.
And by the way, you would be surprised. They might just through working with you side by side with you be influenced enough that actually in the end they do join the cause. That could very well
happen. But the point is to get your, like short-term goals first.
Yeah. All right. But yeah, being reluctant to talk to people, I totally get that. I mean, I'm reluctant to talk to people. It's hard to go out and get out of your comfort zone and stuff. But like, I mean, we're socialists. We got to be social.
And here's the thing too.
That's just the way it is.
The one thing that I want you to do is like, especially when you live in a non-leftist country like the USA, I think that the way that to get things done is to not focus too much on ideology from the start too early. The point is to get things done. You set your goals, you take your steps of goals, and then you try to get people to make it one by one. Because like at least, even if you cannot, like persuade them to be leftist or something, at least you still get your goals done. That's the thing you should focus on. You cannot just like, oh, I'm not going to organize with my neighbor in building a community garden because, like I know that they would never be left. It's like, no, it's not the priority here. The priority is the communal garden, not the other way around.
Yeah. But by the way, the other thing you got to realize is that material conditions are going to continue to deteriorate for the foreseeable future. Yeah. Things suck right now and they're getting worse. There's no reason to think they're going to get better anytime soon. And this will make people more and more susceptible to radicalization. I know, because like, look at what happened through COVID. There's so many people who came over during COVID.
Yeah.
Like the early, like I talk about COVID in past tense and I shouldn't, because COVID's actually really horrible right now. And we should probably talk about the authoritarian USA COVID response in a moment. But this is true. The IWW's organizer training is great for teaching you how to focus on shared problems first.
Exactly.
Yeah. Somebody else said, Sevier just said, alliance of convenience, these will happen. Just don't make alliances where those conveniences become the people running the project. Yes,
exactly.
That's why, you have to go into it with both eyes wide open and know exactly. That's why this whole thing with the debate bros and the fascists, that's a quality difference.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, we're going to pretend that we're enemies, but we really have this ongoing business relationship where we just
literally you put the fascists and the quote unquote leftists equal, and even the fascists higher.
It's like, oh,
that's when you totally
the fascist deserves to be heard as a fascist.
Exactly.
That's different than a kind of shitty neighbor coming over with some power tools and y'all building a bench together.
Yeah.
That relationship isn't rooted in them being a fascist or whatever. And by the way, if they have a Nazi flag in their yard, get them out of your neighborhood. I mean, that's your fucking priority, whether they have power tools or not. But anyway, we're getting way out of scope here. But you're not. Yeah, the point is that you're not there's a quality difference between engaging with somebody as a fascist and proclaiming that their perspective is worth engaging with as a fascist, versus having some neighbors who are kind of reactionary, who need some development to be better neighbors and to build a better community.
But anyway, that's still a community garden need to be done. So, and we need labor if they agree to have. So that's it.
Exactly. So, I mean, these are all half-baked ideas that we've been throwing around.
Yeah. I mean, you all need to be more practical.
We all do, and that's something Luna and I are also working on, by the way. We're not preaching down. I want to make this really clear. We're not preaching down to you from on high. These are problems that we've noticed with ourselves too. That's why we're trying to totally rethink our idea of how we're going to relate with the internet moving forward. Because Luna's Twitter is probably not long for this earth. Twitter itself might not be long for this earth. We don't want to be shouting into these voices. So we have to think about, how are we going to be engaging with the internet moving forward? And we're really rethinking, what have we been fucking up?
Yeah.
We're not telling you that we have all the answers. We're giving you some half-baked answers. We're asking you for some half-baked answers, and then we need to go out and do some shit and see what works and what doesn't. And I want y'all to go out and do stuff and report back to us and tell us what works, like this book club thing.
And we also report back to y'all.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Okay.
Because we need to learn from each other a lot.
1000%. Twitter free living. Okay, that's really good. Twitter free. Better living through Twitter-free lifestyle. Okay, how is the USA COVID response authoritarianism? Okay, I would love to. Okay, I want to get into this real quick. Okay, I want to make an observation, and I don't want anyone to take it the wrong way, because people have a wonderful way of twisting shit. Okay, all right. When I noticed something early on when I came back to the USA, because I've been exposed, because in Vietnam. I'm not constantly exposed to USA media the way I am here. Because here, my mom's always got the TV on. My dad's always got the radio on. I've got the radio on when I'm driving in my car.
In the car.
I've been doing electrical work, so I'm hearing what people are listening to while I'm fixing their light switches or whatever. CNN or NPR or whatever. So it's just more wall to wall, right? You're walking around in the freaking supermarket and you're hearing stuff, right? So what I've noticed is, since I arrived in the USA, and tell me if you think I'm wrong about this, what I've noticed is it seems like every news outlet is constantly bombarding me with information about China's COVID lockdowns for a month now since I got here.
As a Vietnamese citizen, it's ridiculous.
Now wait, I'm not done, okay? I don't know. I've never stepped foot in the country of China in my entire life. I don't know what it's like there right now. I'm not going to pretend I do or don't or whatever. But what's weird to me is the fact that American media is constantly like we were listening to NPR while I was working on I was doing electrical work for a woman, and she was listening to NPR, and it took about 4 hours for me to do the job. And the whole time I'm listening to NPR, and in 4 hours they had about 6 stories on NPR about the COVID lockdowns in China. This was like 3 weeks ago. Okay. And it's just constant. Like they're constantly, when I go to Google News, they're always talking about it, right? So, and then it's like, they never, ever, 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 ever talk about COVID in the USA. It's so weird. It's like we're in the USA where lots of people have COVID. I have friends with COVID.
A million people.
There's like a massive COVID outbreak right now with new variants and stuff, but they never talk about it. They only are talking, and they're talking about it so much in China. It's like, why are we talking so much about something that's happening in another country when the same thing, like the same essential phenomena of COVID, China. It's like we have COVID in the USA. We have problems with COVID in the USA. They have problems with COVID in China, but we're only talking about the problems with COVID in China. We're not talking about the problems that we have here in the USA. Are you following me? Are you seeing what I'm saying?
Pan and Rosa, I've been listening to a German news radio, and they also talking a lot about COVID in China.
Now, all I can think of is this, and I could be wrong. I've been wrong before, but what it feels like to me is that they want me to be terrified of the prospect of a nation taking COVID seriously, and they want us to think, "Oh, aren't we lucky on
the other side of the earth?
Aren't we lucky that we're not doing shit about COVID?" That's what they want me to think. And that is a very ableist perspective, because there are people, including myself, still coughing from the bout of COVID that I had how many months ago, Lon?
3 months ago.
Yeah. Probably 3 months ago?
3 months ago.
3 months ago. So I'm still coughing from COVID I had 3 months ago because I have chronic bronchitis. I'm very susceptible to COVID and lung diseases. I have an uncle who has an immunodeficiency. Okay. Mm-hmm. I have other friends who have all kinds of like disabilities and immunodeficiencies, that sort of thing. And I'm worried to death about them, because there's zero protection for any of these people from COVID right now. Nobody's wearing masks. We went to the aquarium today. We're like walking around jam-packed. Luna and I are like the only 2 people wearing masks. It's weird. There's like very, very few people wearing masks. A few of the workers wearing masks. That's pretty much it.
And it did, like, the hand sanitizers everywhere to remind us that COVID still exists, but none of them wear masks.
Oh, and by the way, in the USA, I'm finding that like about 75% of the time, the little dispensers are out of hand sanitizer. You know what I'm saying? They don't even restock that shit. Now, also, by the way, we heard commercials from the federal government. From the federal government on the radio. I'm going to try to get a copy of these commercials and play them next time. There are commercials on the radio that are saying, hey, we have a new booster now, and it covers the new variants. Get it, and then you can go and you can visit your relatives for the holidays, and you can have no worries. It's going to be fine. That's basically, I'm summarizing.
What about literally?
Wait. Is that essentially accurate to what they were saying?
Exactly what they said.
Yes. I didn't leave any important details out.
The boy's so happy about it.
Yeah.
Hey, we just got a new COVID vaccine. It can not only just protect you from the old variant, but also the new variant. So you can go and.
There's no problem. Go visit your friends and family for holidays. This is from the government, by the way. Not from a corporation, which the corporations have their own shit they're putting out, but this is from the government.
They said it. They have 2 commercials in like 10 minutes.
Yeah, and the exact same messaging. Now, there's nothing about but you should still be careful because there's some people that can't take the booster. You should be careful because some people might be old, they might be disabled, they might be immunocompromised. Nothing like that. There's nothing about being careful, wearing a mask. Nothing. It's just like get the booster. All your problems are gone. You can go meet your grandma. Cough in her face, everything will be fine because you got the booster.
On her face.
It's irresponsible.
You can go meet your dying grandma on bed and sneeze on her face because don't worry, you got the vaccine.
If a doctor told you that, it would be malpractice, right? Am I wrong? If a doctor told you, "Hey, I'm going to give you this booster shot, and then don't worry about COVID anymore. Just go do whatever you want."
Oh my gosh,
that's malpractice.
Literally.
Am I wrong? Like, that's like, you could like, could you not sue the doctor if you end up going and like killing your grandma because of that? Because it's not medically accurate. It's irresponsible. It's wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. Am I wrong? So anyway.
And they make it so happy though.
It's such a happy. Do you support vaccine mandates? Let me tell you something, okay? This is a complicated question. I'm going to say this. Let me tell you what's going on in Vietnam. 100% virtually, almost 100%. I think it's like 99.99%, something like that, of Vietnamese people who can get the vaccine have the vaccine. Guess what? No fucking mandate.
Because we don't have a mandate.
Guess why they all got the vaccine and boosters? Because they're socialistically, they have socialist education. They have a collectivist society. They believe in science. They are educated, not just in school, but they're educated by the health ministry, like in an ongoing way for a long, long time. Okay. You don't have to have mandates if your society is sufficiently educated and collectivist. And if you are building a social society with socialist people with socialist values, as Ho Chi Minh said.
Yeah.
So now, should we have mandates in the USA? You know what? It doesn't really matter what my opinion is, because in the material conditions of the USA, not gonna fucking happen. It's just a hypothetical conversation. You're not going to have a mandate in the bourgeois capitalist society that is the USA. There may be some nations where a mandate makes some kind of sense. They didn't need one in Vietnam. It won't happen in the USA.
It's so funny.
It's a waste of time to talk about it, honestly.
So authoritarian that we do not have a COVID mandate, but 99% of our population has COVID vaccines.
I have a video if
That's
you want.
Amazing.
If you want like a longer answer on like my philosophical thoughts about this, I have a video on the COVID lockdown. If you just go to my channel, youtube.com/noncompete, and type in like COVID lockdown, I think it's like the thumbnail is like me in prison or whatever. Like, you know, I do think that it is, and this is why I think it's authoritarian. You're bringing us in. You're bringing us home. This is what I wanted to really say. I do think that it is authoritarian to force people with disabilities and immunocompromisations and elderly people, to force them against their will to be exposed to deadly pandemic diseases. I think that's authoritarian.
That is eugenics.
It's not just eugenics, it's authoritarian eugenics.
Oh.
It's like, for instance, if I have a cold and I know I have a cold and I go up to Luna and I cough in her face, and I sneeze a bunch of snot in her face, you're all going to agree with me that I just violated the non-aggression pact, right?
Yeah, right.
If I know that there's a chance that I could be carrying a disease and I don't wear a mask and don't do my due diligence to try to protect the people around me, I'm being an asshole. And by the way, there are times when I slip in America. It never happens in Vietnam. We always wear our masks in Vietnam, don't we?
Yes, always.
But I've found a few times where I've been slipping, where I go into a gas station or something and I forget to put my mask on. Doesn't happen in Vietnam because everyone around me is wearing the mask, and that's a reminder. But I'll forget COVID even exists. And it's like it's weird. Do you know what I'm talking? Have you had that yet?
I had to constantly tell myself that that's COVID.
Yeah.
That's COVID. That's COVID. And I don't want to kill people that I love.
It's weird. It's like weird. It's like you go back in time. You know, you jump out. It's like, okay, I'm going to go run and grab a drink at the gas station. And it's like you jump out, you go in, I'm going to run into Walmart, grab a few things, whatever. And you go in there and you're looking around. Nobody's wearing a mask. And you're just like, oh, blah, 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 blah. And then finally you'll see a worker with a mask on. And you're like, oh, fuck, I forgot my mask in the car. And it's like, what am I going to do? You know, it's like I feel so bad when that happens because it's like I'm being impacted by the society that I'm in. Because it never happens in Vietnam. I never forget my mask in Vietnam.
I need to wear
Sometimes
more
Luna and I will be like, we'll make it like so if we're gonna go for like a walk to a restaurant or something, we'll be like 20 steps down the road and I'll be like, oh fuck, I forgot my mask. I'll run back and get it. Yeah. Anyway, so what's the point of saying all this? We as a society in the United States of America are not developed enough for something like a mandate, whether it's a mask mandate or I mean, like, I'm not saying I don't want it, and I'm not saying I do want it. I'm just saying the material conditions are not present to be discussing this kind of thing. We need to start with convincing everyone that COVID is real, which we haven't done yet. We need to start with having a government that makes it clear of the dangers which we don't have. I mean, if we're going to have, I'm saying within the framework of a bourgeois democracy, within the framework of what's possible in a bourgeois democracy. Okay. I'm not even talking about communist revolution and stuff right now. I'm talking about like right now, where we are in the real world right now. We're not even anywhere near where we could even discuss the possibility of a mask mandate or whatever. And it's not something that will happen. So what we need to talk about is what we can do. Okay. Like we can wear masks. Okay. We can encourage other people around us to wear masks. We could try to spread around things like the, what's it called? Please chat help me. The COVID, I did a freaking video about it. I'm drawing a blank. The COVID, it's like it's a secondary power structure. The chat will tell me in just a moment. I'm just going to wait. I'm going to trust the chat.
I mean, when I think about, the USA and the COVID-19 and the workers and the price of everything, it's just like, there's so much thing to say, but I don't know what to say.
Sugar says you can still have an opinion. I mean, yeah, I have opinions, but like it's like we'd have to build all these like hypothetical trees and stuff like that, right? Like I don't think that there should be a mandate for vaccines in Vietnam because it's completely unnecessary. Should there be a vaccine mandate in the USA? Like what? What does that mean? Hey, we shouldn't throw people in prison. I mean, that's not a solution. Like enslaving them and putting them in a situation where they're more like
ICE camps.
It's way too complicated for me to have it's so hypothetical. It's like asking like, what would aliens be like? I don't know. It's so far detached from our reality.
Individualistic here is when we were in Vietnam. We walked out to the beach and then we saw, we heard the radio coming, like there's a commercial from the government itself saying like everybody, you have to wear masks, wash your hands, do not like gather a group of more than 5 people because you must care about the public health.
Yes.
Literally.
Collectivism.
Every single morning on the collective speaker of the government say like you have to care about public health.
Here's the other thing. A mandate isn't a magic bullet either. If you had a mandate, everyone's still not going to get it. And like, what do you do if they break the mandate? What are you going to do? You're going to throw them in prison? What are you going to do? Fine them? I mean, you know what I'm saying? Mm. And it's like legalism is just another form of idealism. If you think that like, okay, it's like abortion. If you think that like, okay, I'm going to pass a law and make abortion illegal, and then all abortions are just going to disappear. We'll never have abortions again. That's so ridiculous. It's so silly. That's not how human society functions.
Yes.
And the only tool that bourgeois societies have for enforcing things was not just laws, it's enslaving people in our prison industry. True. So, I mean, like, it's just such a, like, to really talk about this.
Crimes and then they exploit.
You have to go through so many layers of idealism to even talk about this. It's like, no, let's just, I don't want to talk about it. It's not interesting.
Just ban it and it will exist. It is the same, one of the biggest, argument that we have of the Vietnamese communists, We're talking about prostitution in Vietnam. So lots of us hate the government for, making prostitution illegal. Mm-hmm. Because we know that prostitution will exist. But it's a thing that been exist for a long time. And the point is you don't make it illegal and expect it to disappear because it never works like that.
You're opening a can of worms that I don't think we're ready to talk about.
No, that's the point that we consider our Vietnamese
because we've got about 8 minutes left in this stream. The point, okay, look, it's simple. Yeah. Okay, we don't have to start talking about a bunch of different things. I didn't realize you were so pessimistic about a vaccine mandate in America. I'm from South Carolina. What do you think? Are you kidding me? Do you know what would happen if the governor decides tomorrow to say, okay, we're going to have a vaccine mandate. Every single one of you and all your children are getting a vaccine. Are you kidding me? It would be chaos. It would be like
have riots.
I mean, you would literally have riots. It would be and we're not developed enough.
We're going to have a riot.
We're not developed enough. We don't even 50% of the country don't even think that COVID's like a real thing almost. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like we're having a conversation about what we're going to do on the moon when we haven't even learned how to control fire yet. Basically, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, what are you going to do when you get to the moon? It's like, well, I'm still trying to build a fire over here. We don't even have the idea of what a rocket ship is going to be. Like, you're so far ahead of where we are.
And by the way, the big picture of the IWW. They'll be like,
yeah, they're all looking at the stars. Yeah,
literally like.
And the guy's like,
we need a
organize,
union right now.
educate, agitate. Right. I mean, we have a lot of work to do to develop our working class and ourselves in the USA. Like, and a mandate's not really going to fix the, like, you don't need a mandate. If you make the right decisions like Vietnam has, you don't need a mandate.
There's no mass mandate or vaccine mandate in Vietnam. People are just like, we encourage you to do that because it's good for the public health. And everybody like, okay, I'm going to do it because I care about other people.
And by the way, if anyone wants to get pissed at Luna for what she was just saying, especially in Vietnam, if you don't know the history of sex work in Vietnam and the current present conditions of it and stuff,
I can talk about this in my
you can support sex workers without supporting, especially the extremely exploitative sex trafficking and like sex colonialism that's happening in Vietnam. You know, like, we don't support those things, obviously. You know what I mean? But that doesn't mean we don't support sex workers. So it's like, please don't, like, Luna just, people, I'm just worried for you, Luna, because you'll say like something in totally good faith and people twist it every which way.
And yeah, I can talk a little bit more about this in my moodcast if you want. But anyway, the point of that is that, like, even we Vietnamese communists criticize the Vietnamese government of being idealist. Because you make it illegal doesn't mean it disappear.
Right.
That's it. That's the whole point.
But liberals think that way. Liberals think if you outlaw guns, then guns will just disappear. Like, there's 3 times or
ding
more.
Ass, you must be to really believe it.
The ding ass thing gets me every time. I love how you just made up your own
vocabulary.
Epithet. I love that. Okay. Yeah. Okay. There's like so many more guns than there are human beings in the USA. If you just made guns illegal tomorrow, you're not getting all the guns. You know how many people are going to like lose their guns in boating accidents and stuff? I mean, like, you're not going to get all the guns to just disappear, and you're not going to stop all gun crime in the USA specifically. I'm talking about the USA specifically, because people always be like, oh, there was Australia and UK and blah, blah. It's like, okay, the USA has a totally different material conditions in those places. And you're not just going to make the problems of gun violence disappear by making them illegal. By the way, you're not going to make them illegal. Not in South Carolina. You come and try to make guns illegal in South Carolina. Are you kidding me?
Good luck with that.
It's unrealistic at this point in the time where we are right now, at this stage in development. People don't understand development processes. And then some of them call themselves communists. Some of them call themselves Marxists, and they don't even have a clue of how the development process was outlined by people like Marx and Engels.
The government and the people must be like aligned with each other, not like the people is down here, the government like all the way.
Well, no, you're not. See, we are in like the baby stage of building a communist movement.
No connection whatsoever.
We don't have any access to the government.
Oh, you don't.
As communists, okay? No. It's like we're so far from, like,
2 different identities.
People are arguing. It's like, hey, it's okay. I don't mean this to be insulting to anybody, but it's literally like children. Like, if I was the president, here's what I would do. I would do this, and I would do that, and I would do this. And it's like, you're not even.
That's Joe Biden. That's how Joe Biden talks. Joe Biden tweeted on Twitter as if.
Well, that's a different. He is the president. I know, but that's a deception. But what I'm saying is these idealists are like, if you were the president, would you have a vaccine mandate? It's like, dude, we're not even like, we have no power right now. Why are we talking about this complete? It's like when people talk about geopolitics. Oh. Like, what should the USA do with Germany? It's like, we don't have access to any of the decisions the USA is making with Germany right now. And the capitalists in charge don't care about our opinions. What we need to be doing right now is building power.
Give a shit.
Yeah, we have no power right now. We need power first, and then we can start talking about all these wonderful things that we'll do once we have the power. But like, we're rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic that we haven't even built yet. You get what I'm saying? That was a terrible metaphor.
Yeah,
I don't care.
Yes.
I'm tired. Johnny Tsunami says, if there was a vaccine in the USA, folks, are you understanding what I'm saying? I get frustrated sometimes because I feel like let me read Johnny Tsunami's comment, and then I'll explain why I'm frustrated. If there was a vaccine mandate in the U.S., it would be 100% under threat of imprisonment and death by cop. Exactly. I feel like the whole paradigm, the whole framework of politics on the internet with YouTube and streaming and shit is people arguing about what they would do if they had power instead of talking about how will we get power? How will we build a movement? Do you get what I'm saying? I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it. We are tired of it.
That is idealism we're talking
we
about.
do not have a movement right now.
Exactly. And gain the power to have actual real life impact.
And when we say power, we're talking about power for the people.
Yes, for the people, not for some individual.
Not for me, not for you, not for us to like hold over. We have to walk along side by side with the people. We can't be tailists. We can't be commandists.
Yeah.
We have to be side by side with the masses, developing the masses as we develop ourselves, as we allow the masses to develop us.
Power structure.
Build dual power structures, secondary power structures. Okay, that is it. Yes, great. Stop spinning castles in the air and build real life relationships. Yeah. Build foundations on the ground.
Yeah. Build your own shack on the ground.
Luna's been kicking her Twitter addiction lately, though, I have to say.
Yeah.
You haven't really even used Twitter much lately.
No.
When I say power, I want people to understand. I'm not talking about like hierarchical power over other people. I'm saying power for the people against capital, against these organs of
the
oppression.
Dictatorship of the proletariat.
It's like the Black Panther said, power to the people.
Yeah, power to
all
the people.
Power to the people. That's what we're talking about. I'm not saying building power for our little clique, our little cell. Okay? Because the movement and the people can only really be built alongside each other. That's what I'm talking about. Don't lie, I see your retweets. Retweeting doesn't count.
Doesn't count. Come on. I just spend like 5 minutes a day on Twitter.
Retweeting doesn't count.
I saw a good tweet, like, okay, retweet this, I'm done.
Retweeting is a very passive
it's like,
engagement.
It's like, listen to this person. That's it.
People's democracy over bourgeois dictatorship. We don't want to be doing any kind of blankist bullshit. We don't want to be doing entryism. We don't want to be doing commandism. We don't want to be tailism. We want to try to build a movement
want to do reform
of the people, as the people.
Actually, we're over time, but I'm very hungry. I'm gonna get.
We're not over time. We are exactly. We have 9 minutes left. I don't want to shortchange the people.
Okay. Okay.
That's just a joke. All right. I also see those Twitter threads on those retweets. Just admit it. You're addicted. Oh, Luna's been doing better. Come on. I'm going to say Luna has had her demons with Twitter, but you've been doing a lot better. Come on. Did you even touch Twitter this weekend? Did you? Just be honest.
I didn't even have the internet to do it.
Yeah. I don't even think Luna touched the Twitter all weekend. The Twitter. Maybe there were like a couple here and there. I don't know. But anyway, we're not spending the rest of our 8 minutes together dishing on Luna for doing what we all do. Except for me, because I quit Twitter like 2 or 3 years ago. But
well,
Joey J, we missed you, comrade. How you doing? Thank you so much. See, okay, like if you want to call it power, if you want to call it means, whatever you want to call it,
whatever.
I don't really care.
You get the
point. Is that the point is that right now we can't do shit. We ain't got shit. I mean, that's like, I'm speaking broadly, but especially with the kind of conversations people want to have about, oh, should we ban guns or not? It's like, why don't we talk about that after we have anywhere near the wherewithal to be able to ban guns? Like, it's not even something we can. It's a pie in the sky. Like, it's like
that is like, a lot of people ask Vietnam when like, how would we function under communism? Right?
Who knows?
Like, who knows? The Communist Party of Vietnam doesn't have the exact speculation.
Nobody knows. Who knows if we're going to have X, Y, and Z in a stateless, classless society? I don't know. We'll find out through practice.
We're busy fighting against
imperialism. Let me read a quote. I got some good quotes. I got a great quote because Engels hated debate bros. Did you know that?
Oh.
Did you know that, Luna?
Yes.
Engels hated debate bros, and I have some evidence of that.
Okay.
I got to find this quote. Hold on.
Engels was amazing. I like that guy.
I want to read this Engels quote because
I like that old man.
Hey, they weren't all bangers. Engels had some crap takes.
Mm-hmm.
Hurry up. I think I've got this Engels quote close to hand. Let me just find it. I'm looking in my second brain, my obsidian. It's under hey, Twin Rabbit. Says, that's why I say an absence of prefigurative dream weaving would be nice. Networking isn't the same as, and then a miracle happens. Yes. Yes, Twin Rabbit. Yes. I'm so tired of the and then a miracle happens thing. And I'm so tired of people viciously attacking each other because they don't agree what will hypothetically happen in a stateless, classless society. That's for the future generations who will achieve that to understand. Hey, maybe we'll achieve a stateless, classless society in our lifetimes. I highly doubt it. I don't even think that's not a bad thing necessarily. I think it's just real. Yeah. It's a multi-generational thing.
That is why I said I'm for the united front, the tactical unity of Marxist-Leninists and anarchists.
I have some hot takes about that. I've been thinking about this a lot lately. Somebody said something, and I didn't come up with this. I found the Engels quote, but let me just say this real quick. The whole thing about anarchism versus Marxism, Leninism, or whatever. Somebody said this, and I'm just going to say what they said, and I'll let you mull on it. I'm not going to add any editorialism, okay? But somebody said,
I'll take a look.
Yes, there were all of these different divisions between anarchists and Marxist-Leninists and Mao. All these different people have all these divisions in the past, and they had bitter disputes, and sometimes they betrayed each other, and sometimes they harmed each other. But we don't owe it to those previous generations to carry their divisions forward.
True.
We don't owe it to people that lived 100 years ago or 50 years ago or even a year ago to carry that divisiveness forward. If we can unite in any way, if we can find ways to work through those divisions, to work through those differences, then I believe we owe it to future generations to do so.
Yeah.
And we owe it to ourselves.
Totally agree.
We don't owe anything to the people in the past. I think that's really important. I mean, I'm not going to say there's no situation at all in which you would never owe anything to the past, but in that specific context, I thought there was a lot of truth to that. I haven't really fleshed that out enough to carry it forward with my own take at all, but that's just something to think about. And then this person, okay, no offense, but don't you think you are being oversensitive to quit Twitter because of its toxicity? It comes with the territory of being a leftist YouTuber. No. I'm still facing plenty of toxicity. The toxicity didn't go anywhere. Okay. Like,
it's still there.
People are still being toxic to me on Twitter. Like, I'm aware of it. And by the way, I know what's happening on Twitter. It's not like I never look at Twitter, but like, I felt like I wasn't accomplishing anything on Twitter. And I felt like Twitter was making me a worse person. Like, I didn't like how I was engaging with Twitter. I didn't think it was productive. I thought I was wasting a lot of time there. I thought that I was becoming too individualistic in a lot of ways. I was being toxic myself. And I didn't like the way that it was. I didn't like the dialectical relationship that I had with Twitter. And ever since I quit Twitter, I feel like I've just been more productive and more useful. There's still toxicity, don't get me wrong. But I feel like I personally myself choose not to use Twitter. It's not there. Look, nobody ever gives me shit for not being on Facebook or not being on Reddit or not being on a million other websites.
But why always just Twitter?
Because I quit Twitter. I never really was that big. I wasn't ever like a public figure at all on Facebook.
That's funny.
So nobody gave a shit when I deleted my Facebook. But I quit Twitter, so people spin all kinds of narratives about why and how I quit Twitter and blah, 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 blah. I just don't think that's the venue where I have the most impact to offer the world. YouTube and Twitch, I still use because I feel like I can be useful here. Does that make sense? All right, let me read you this Engels quote, and then we'll probably wrap it up here, okay? Mm-hmm. This is such a good thing about Debate Bros from Engels, who wrote this before the internet ever existed. Okay. This is talking about communist workers who had class consciousness, okay? That's the context, basically. It's from the Holy Family, by the way. These mass-minded communist workers, employed, for instance, in the Manchester or Lyon workshops, do not believe that by pure thinking, they will be able to argue away their industrial masters and their own practical debasement. This is my favorite phrase, critical criticism. Critical criticism is a phrase that Engels and Marx came up with to talk about criticism for the sake of criticism. Yeah. In other words, just sitting around and talking about shit just so you can talk about it. Debate bros. Critical criticism, on the contrary, teaches them that they cease in reality to be wage workers if in thinking they abolish the thought of wage labor. if in thinking they cease to regard themselves as wage workers, and in accordance with that extravagant notion, no longer let themselves be paid for their person, as absolute idealists, as ethereal beings, they will then naturally be able to live on the ether of pure thought. Critical criticism, debate, I'm going to say debate, teaches them that they abolish real capital by overcoming in thinking the category capital, that they really change and transform themselves into real human beings by changing their abstract ego in consciousness and scorning as an uncritical operation all real change of their existence, of the real conditions of their existence, that is to say, of their real ego. The spirit which in reality only categories, which sees in reality only categories, naturally reduces all human activity and practice to the dialectical process of thought, of critical criticism. So in other words, he's saying that
pure thought.
These like debate bro critical critics think that they can just think their way out of oppression and talk their way out of oppression and reason their way out of oppression. No, we have to act. Practice, folks.
And saying like because of the pure thought like that, they reduce, like the amount of actual work practice in real life to change the actual thing.
Pure thought. Hey, Famous Horse is in the house. We got Famous Horse, we got Twin Rabbit, we got Comrade Clever Name.
Yeah, we got a lot.
We got everyone. We got Tsunami, we got Joey J, Omega Haxor. So many cool people.
We got Adnan before.
Oh, we had Adnan? Nice. We got Softboy Freaking Social Club.
What's
Softboy Freaking Social Club, doo-dah, doo-dah. Softboy Freaking Social Club, oh, in the doo-dah day.
It's weird time for streaming, but everybody's here. Weird.
Maybe we should be streaming later and later and later.
Right?
Maybe we should just, instead of sleeping, we just stream. Open to the idea of having Vietnamese subtitles on their video? Yeah. Oh, Luna's got a whole thing she's going to do with Vietnamese. She's going to start a whole channel for Vietnamese speakers. Y'all get ready for that. Yes, I love this. Critical criticism equals debate for the sake of debate. Yeah, it's been a while since we've heard Softboy Social Club. I hope you're doing okay.
Yeah.
Breadbeard. Hope you're happy. Hope you're well. It's weird because we're like 12 hours away from you now. We're usually like an hour or two away from you.
Yeah, right.
All right. There was a question. Oh, can I put that quote up? Here, I'll put the quote up on stream. Sorry.
Of course I remember you, Joey J.
People are asking for the critical criticism quote. I'm going to try to put it into one comment. I don't know if it'll paste. Does it work? Did it work?
It worked. Okay, I saw it.
Okay, it worked better on Twitch than it worked on... We'll put up the Luna quote here. There you go.
No.
Oh, no, that's only half of it. Okay. Here's the first half. I'll read you my favorite part real quick. It's this part. Critical criticism teaches the workers that they cease in reality to be wage workers if in thinking they abolish the thought of wage labor. And then my second favorite part is this part, or my other favorite part. Yeah. As absolute idealists, as ethereal beings, they will then naturally be able to live on the ether of pure thought. It's so good. Engels is so good. I love Engels. Oh, I think Engels wrote that. It could have been Marx, but come on, that was Engels.
He was spicy.
Engels might have, peppered it.
Yeah, he was spicy. I don't know.
All right.
All right, hungry. I want to get some snack because.
Ooh, post the wonderful Engels quote on the Patreon page. I could put the whole Holy Family. In there. Yeah. Oh, by the way, Luna is doing more on her Patreon page, and we're gonna do more on the non-compete Patreon page as well. And camaraderie is actually the priority over Patreon. But we love all of you. Thank you for supporting us. Anyway, there's more stuff. We've got vlogs that we've recorded from being in the USA. We're gonna have a lot of that kind of stuff. So if you want to support us on camaraderie or Patreon, please do. I also want to show y'all by popular demand. What the hell?
What are you looking for?
This. By popular demand, we got these now on our shop.
And it closed in the dark.
So, and we'll be putting discount codes for the holidays for all of our merch on the shop, non-compete.com/shop, lunaoi.com/shop. This thing glows in the dark. It's also like kind of shiny in the daylight. It's a really cool shirt.
Turn off the light to see.
Turn it off.
I hope it works.
I doubt it.
I need some light.
It's not gonna. No, it's not gonna glow in the. Not powerful enough for this crappy webcam to see.
Oh, yeah.
But it looks cool in the dark. Anyway, and the book is basically done. I'm working on the appendix, and then it's done, and then it's done, and it will be out soon. So holiday stuff coming soon. If you want to be updated on that stuff, best thing to do really is to support us on Patreon and Camaraderie.
My cameraman, would you want to do this?
Yeah, we've already done some. Luna already has one up already on kudzu, right?
Kudzu.
If you live in the South and you didn't know, you can eat kudzu, and Luna shows you how in the first vlog on the Luna Oi Patreon and Camaraderie. Oh yeah, we're gonna have Marks and Angles might come and join us again soon too. We got Chunky Boy size of that. We do Soft Boy Social Club, but for you, we'll probably hook you up. Wait till we get back to Vietnam if you're still in Taiwan. Because it'll be a lot easier for us to get you a shirt from Vietnam than from here. So, okay, all right. What are we done? It's too late to give you all a coupon code, but if you watch our next couple of streams, we'll give y'all a coupon code too. But the coupon code for our Camaraderie and Patreon supporters will be nicer and better. You'll get a better deal that way. So maybe throw us a couple bucks there, and then you can save way more than that on shirts if you want a shirt or if you want one of the books. Okay. All right. I don't know what I'm talking about. It's so late. I'm so tired. It's 12:44.
It's almost 1.
Good night, everybody. Thanks for watching. Luna, you got any last words?
I haven't had dinner yet.
We haven't even had dinner yet. Bye.
Bye.